Hello, my name is Minkyoung. Today is my day off. Hooray, finally there's an opportunity to go somewhere and see something new. I like to visit theaters and museums the most. For me, visiting such places is the first step to know the country and a great way to spend time as well. Nothing strange, but I can imagine my life without some premiere or exhibitions. The mystery of the theater and the magical aura of old paintings fascinate me so much that wherever I am, I try not to miss a chance to visit the sites. Well, I decided to dedicate this day to the museum.
You need to be going to the Central Museum also. That's also a very nice place to go. If you are an art, lover, you need to visit the Kasteev Museum for sure.
Yeah, in terms of museums, there is a big central museum of Kasteev that is inside the city itself. It has a good collection of, different stages of art. There's like pre-Soviet, Soviet, post-Soviet era represented in that museum.
In Seoul, my home city, there is a huge number of museums, and there are the most unusual museums among them, such as the Museum Kimchi-kan, the beautiful Tea Museum, and even Owl Museum. By the way, if you get to go to the Republic of Korea, I recommend you to visit them. I promise it will be interesting. And here's the very museum that many people have told me about. It shares the name with the first professional artist of the country. Everyone who came here is probably familiar with works of Abylkhan Kasteev.
Yeah, I've been a couple of times where they had, special exhibitions. In this museum, they are very old paintings. It is really a nice place.
I was in that museum. It was in 2014. My Brazilian friends came to visit me. We went there, saw the exhibitions. They had sort of a mini tour. You can see Almaty city and mountains. Some regions of Kazakhstan, west, south, and north. There are paintings of them. I like that a lot. Different paintings, unusual ones.
Now you understand me why I like going to museums. For me, this is a special world. Here you can find something different, not like in everyday life. This is the biggest museum of fine arts in Kazakhstan. The museum keeps more than 23,000 exhibits of fine and applied arts. Unique exhibits representing the culture of Kazakhstan, Russia, Western Europe from antiquity to the present day are displayed in 14 halls. And there are the works of Kasteev himself.
I have seen the works of Kasteev. Yes, I like them. Besides him, I know Abylkhan Kasteev. He has very bright paintings. They are reminiscent of Brazilian paintings. By the way, I collected such ones. We have paintings from the north of Brazil here. I brought them from there.
Hello. Hello, my name is Dinara. I will be your guide today. Let me tell you a bit about the history of our museum. Sure. Our museum dates back to 1935. It was called the National Art Gallery back in the day. Later, it was named after Taras Shevchenko. It turns out that during those years, the art gallery was located in different buildings, but none of them had sufficient space to store and display collected art. For 40 years, the gallery had been replenished with new exhibits. Therefore, it was decided to build a new building that could accommodate all these works of art. So the museum was built in 1976, and only later, in 1984, it was named after Abylkhan Kasteev, who is considered one of the founders of Kazakh fine art. To achieve his goals, the artist himself lived a rather difficult life. He didn't even have a professional education. His desire to draw people, animals, landscapes was hard to fulfill since he had no special knowledge on how to do it. Kasteev was born in Aul. He grew up in a low-income family. He lost his father early and was engaged in cattle breeding from childhood. At the age of 20, he left his native village for the city of Jarkent. There, a local rich Tatar hired him as a yardman. So he earned money for his first brushes and paints. Later, he got a job as a railway worker for the construction of the Turkestan-Siberia Railway. And this moment was significant in his life. It was the turning point in his life. Being already a 21-year-old young man, young Abylkhan finally went in for fine arts. Knowing nothing about academic art, he drew practically everything that he saw, everything that he felt intuitively, and everything that he knew. Soon, self-taught Kasteev's reputation as an artist was established. He made his dreams come true. His drawings started to be successful, and his paintings became the cultural heritage of Kazakhstan. Indeed, his works were so unique and original that the main museum of the country now rightfully has his name.
You know, I've been there, I've been in the museum, Abylkhan Kasteev. It was very amazing. The history is still kept up to today because when you make, you know, art, it gives so many meanings. The heart, moral, the tradition, the culture.
One of his first works is a portrait of Kenisary, made in 1935. And this work was more ethnographic in its nature. So we see a person, a figure, that sits in the middle on the carpet. Painting portraits of people, the artist was very careful about psychological details. Close-up on Kenisary's portrait reveals the inner world of this person to us, his thoughts, emotions, and feelings. Looking at this picture, you can imagine that you are in another dimension. It seems to take you to another era. We can see his advisors behind him. They were called bees. White Yurt is his residence. And we see a group of warriors. And all of this is painted with the Kazakh landscape in the background, mountains and steppes. So we understand that the person sitting in the middle is Kenisary Khan. He has a bow in his hands, he sits on the carpet. At the time, the Khans of three Juzes were proclaimed and lifted up on white felt. Khan was a Kazakh ruler's title in the old days. Kenisary Khan was a living symbol of the fight for national liberation and independence from the Russian Empire, and also the last Khan of the Kazakh Khanate. The largest national liberation uprising in Kazakhstan in the 19th century took place under his leadership. As a result of the betrayal of his sultans, Kenisary Khan was taken prisoner and subsequently executed. Korea also had its heroes who fought for the independence. A millennium can pass, but their names will remain in the book of history.
Kenisary Khan? I know him. He is the grandson of Abylkhan. And we also have Kenisary Khan Street. Not far away from the embankment, there is a monument, a huge monument.
This is a painting, Cotton Picking. What an interesting painting. How do you feel looking at this painting? Freedom, peace, some warm atmosphere. Warm atmosphere, yes. And notice how the artist chose the contrast of colors such as rich red and white. In these two paintings, Cotton Picking and Haymaking, Kasteev presented the life of the Kazakh people during the Soviet era. During the Soviet period, right? Have you heard about Soviet Union? Yeah, sure. The coming of Soviet regime to the territory of Kazakhstan was marked by radical changes. Political and economic reforms, followed by educational reforms, had enabled many folk artists to reveal their gifts. In the young republic, the foundations were laid for the formation of a professional national art. A very peculiar manner of work during this period was also remarkable in Kasteev's style. It was changing. The storyline prevailed, and they were connected mainly with the everyday life of Kazakhs. With the help of a bright palette and light and shade elaborations, the characters on his canvases get more volume. They seem to come to life and share their mood. Between 1937 and 1941, Kasteev creates a series of paintings, and this series is called Old and New Life. For example, this painting, The Bought Bride, shows the old way of life, while the picture, Toy in Kolkhoz, shows the new way of life. It was the dawn of Soviet era. So to the next painting called The Bought Bride, it's a picture of the old life. You mean at the time it was possible to buy and sell a bride in Kazakhstan? Yes, there were such traditions. Kalim is a Kazakh word that literally means bride price. Kalim among the Turkic peoples was a kind of compensation to the bride's parents for the loss of a woman and the property that she took to her husband's family. In the past, Kalim was widespread in many countries of the world, and in some of them this custom is still present.
We have a tribe too in Nigeria that their Kalim is almost like Kazakh people. It's not like buying. You have to pay some dowry to show respect. That not like, oh, I just take this girl from the family. It's just like a culture. So we pay Kalim too in Africa. But Kazakhstan Kalim, I think, well, I see somebody like one day I was seeing a friend's Kalim was like, wow.
Was it a tradition? An official tradition? Well, not exactly official. There were opulent bais, rich people. Their name was bai. Bai was a well-to-do person who had livestock and a good household. And there were also poor people. And it used to be very popular in old times, let's say, to have several wives. Here, for example, look, this adult woman, most likely she's a baibishe. Baibishe is the first wife. That was the term. And this is most likely a bought bride, the second wife of the bai. Turns out she's an official wife. And this is bai, yes? Look at the expressions on the faces. His face is straight up sly. How he bent down to a young girl in the saddle. The state of mind of the characters in this picture cannot be hidden. I saw a life situation which turned out to be a big tragedy for a young girl. She had just been given to a bai for Kalim. Now the unfortunate woman is being taken along a mountain road, and she is unable to resist. She has sadness on her face. She cannot even look towards the unloved one. This young girl does not want to get married. Probably you can tell it because she's tenebrous. And what do you see in the face of the first wife? She doesn't care, in my opinion, because she's apparently tired of her husband. It might be. Everyone, of course, interprets this in their own way. I see, for example, that she looks reproachfully at the old man. I can imagine how the baibishe, the older wife, felt when she saw the young wife next to her husband. Of course, in modern secular society, this is prohibited by law and condemned by morality. But in the old days, polygamy was very common in Oriental countries. Even now, for example, in the United Arab Emirates, it's not forbidden to have 4 wives, but you can only own such a harem if you're able to provide it. But where did this custom come from? In Kazakhstan, polygamy has been widespread since the Turkic period, which is the 6th, 7th centuries AD. In those days, the reason for the rise of polygamy was largely due to constant gender instability. As I understood, because of constant wars, men often died, and in order to continue their family, they had to marry at least 2 women. The rich men were more fortunate; they could have 4 wives. Actually, they married to have more children, for the household needs, for work. However, not all men had this opportunity. Most of them had only 1 wife. Yes, you will not envy women. It was hard for them in those ancient times.
I heard about polygamy. I think people didn't think and didn't worry so much about it, since at that time it was acceptable, but apparently men were in short supply.
In African, you can marry 4, 3, 2. My father married 3. My mom is second wife, you know. We live together in one house. African tradition.
This is totally normal. In Brazil, there was one singer. He had 9 wives and 22 children from different wives, and they all know each other. I don't see anything wrong with that. Why not?
Moving on to the picture of a new way of life, there is already a different atmosphere. Yes, it's a fun atmosphere. I can already feel it. This is the dawn of Soviet power. Men and women are sitting side by side. Men even hold newspapers in their hands. That means that the educational system is there. People are literate. People are educated. New musical devices, new technology. Now let's move on to the next picture of our museum. A signature painting, one might say. Very recognizable and very popular. This is a high mountain skating rink Mudeo. It's made by Abylkhan Kasteev in 1955. Now this place of course looks very different. But this picture, it very realistically captures the atmosphere of those times. See how skillfully he brought every detail, every person and even every spurs on the tops. Yes, I see. There's even a slightly bluish haze in the distance. In his paintings, the artist treated the little things with great attention, outlining each object, details of landscapes and details of human figures. He tried to combine people, their way of life, and the nature around them into a single composition. I wonder how he learned to paint such pictures without having a special education. Speaking of Kasteev, he lived for 2 or 3 years in Moscow, in Russia, and often visited museums. His one and only teacher was Nikolai Gavrilovich Khludov. Look at the sketches. A very interesting play of colors is used by the artist. The palette is so diverse that it even dazzles a little. All paintings show the beauty and freshness of the small piece of nature and episodes from the routine of Kazakh life, as if they were accidentally captured, to create such a lively atmosphere on the canvas that they make me smile and think only of something good and kind. These paintings were painted by Nikolai Gavrilovich Khludov, an artist of everyday life and landscapes. He is also known as an icon painter and portrait painter. Khludov was born in Russia, graduated from the Odessa Drawing School and private art workshops in St. Petersburg. After arriving in Verny, which was the old name of the city of Almaty, in 1877, the artist never left it. Apparently, then there was a fateful meeting of 2 wonderful people, 2 artists, a teacher and his student, Nikolai Khludov and Abylkhan Kasteev. Let me show you a watercolor version, an early version of Turkcip. There it is. The year 1932. Well, this picture is dedicated to a real event, the arrival of the first steam locomotive to the Kazakh land. Kasteev painted common people who came to see this technical miracle. Among them are smartly dressed women, dashing horsemen, old people, and children. Well, here is the same episode, only in different colors. I love paintings where the landscape is well depicted. Looking at this canvas, you can find out the beauty of these places. You aren't looking at a picture, but at real mountains. Your mountains everywhere are so beautiful and pretty. Yes, Abylkhan Kasteev and almost all of his landscape paintings painted mountains. It's because he wanted to show how beautiful your mountains are. Yes, on the one hand, but on the other, as I told you, he painted what he saw. He was born in a mountainous area, so he drew them. And this is so beautiful, so monumental, and so powerful. It's beautiful. It's true. I also really like the seasons. In winter, the mountains look different, and in spring, they look different, but they're always wonderful. They look great.
I'm a big fan of the mountains in Almaty. The top point is 3,200 meters above sea level. Then Charin Canyon, pretty cool spot. As far as I know, it is the second largest canyon after the Great Canyon in Colorado.
Well, these are episodes of Kazakh life by the mature Kasteev. It contains scenes from the lives of people who live on the outskirts of the city. By the small flock of sheep grazing in the meadow, one can tell this is a family of shepherds. You can also see that the artist was painting a morning landscape. The boy had just woken up. The women were cooking something early in the morning. I wonder what they were cooking there. Looks similar to the curd that I already tried. Dinar, is that a curd by any chance? Yes, curd. The painting is called the Kolkhoz Dairy Farm. So a family of kolkhozniks makes curd. This is a fresh cottage cheese, and these are already made and rolled curds. They dried up. Probably everyone who has tried this hard white ball knows how it tastes.
When I first came here, I tried curd. It seemed to me very salty at that time.
It's like a cheese, cottage cheese, but hard.
There is a curd that is sold in the store, and there is homemade curd. I tried both. There is a certain type of people who are used to buying in the store, and it's delicious for them. And there are certain people who prefer home cooking. Nevertheless, I didn't like curd from the store. Well, then I bought a homemade curd, and I liked it. It turned out to be really tasty.
Firstly, I can't help but eat a couple of bowls of this curd, especially when it's hot outside. This product has been used since ancient times. Nomads took it on long hauls for a reason, since the curd could keep its nutritional properties for 8 years. And it didn't expire, and at the same time it was easy to carry it with you. Therefore, Kazakhs cannot imagine their traditional cuisine without a hard bowl made of curd milk.
Because I was in Petropavlovsky, the first time when I see fruits, I see the milk. From where they tell me from camel milk, from horse milk. So when they tell me, oh, it's milk too, I see how they make it and I love it. I used to buy it many times, you know.
Curd is made from goat's milk, cow's milk, sheep's milk. Yes. Then it is salted and left to dry in the sun. The concentration is similar to that of cheese.
Oh, suddenly I want to have some curd. Maybe it will look strange to you, but curd helps me to endure thirst on such hot day easily. Can you imagine the heat in the steppe now? What a beautiful carpet. It amazes me with its ornaments. Can you please tell me, these are such different patterns. What do they mean? What do they represent? This is the style of such carpets made by craftswomen. When they were making pile carpets, they put several large rosettes in the middle. Glorious traditions of carpet weaving were formed in ancient times. Craftswomen keep and ameliorate them to this day. Their heads recreate all the beauty of nature that seems to come to life on the carpet. And there are such Kazakh patterns. New clothes are bedizened with patterns. Look, this garment has a leafy ornament and floral patterns. It is embroidered. Here they embroider on the tekimet and on the sirmak. You can see that they spread it. Everywhere there are different patterns, on tekimet, sirmak, on clothes. The patterns that were laid out on the terme alasha and kakpa alasha had their own characteristics. Beautiful, intricate compositions were born from diamonds with poppy-like tendrils. These poppies, rectangles, curls of mellow tones in these patterns. Look how beautiful they are.
Yes, and they are so unusual, old, very unusual, with ornaments. Brazilians are fond of such things, very beautiful.
bit. I have Chapin, you know, Kazakhstan Giletka, like Chapin and Giletka. I have Takia. We have these two in African, but similar, you know. But I took Takia to house. I give, oh, this is made in Kazakhstan. I put with Thai in Africa. Everybody look, oh, what is this? It's nice, it's beautiful.
Now you wanted to show another carpet, right? But first I want to say that Kazakhs, after all, they had a nomadic lifestyle and they made all their products so that they were lightweight, transportable, and multifunctional. For example, tekimet. This is tekimet, right? Is that the name of the carpet? That's the name of the carpet. It's made without thread. There are two backgrounds. For example, you see a white one and a black pattern. They're pressed together like this. This is how they're made. This is a very interesting process. White background wool was put in tekimet. In this case, the mat is made of needle grass. Then the patterns were laid out to be connected without a thread. No threads. They're not stitched. How to connect them? They poured hot boiling water over it, rolled this carpet, then they beat it with sticks. Sometimes they used the force of livestock, cows, horses, so that the water was squeezed out and left to dry. And after it got dried, it turned out like that. Wow, no threads. I didn't expect it at all. Is it possible? Turns out it is possible. What a good technique you have. Yes, and this is a teamwork of women. But there is also another kind of floor carpets. They are called sırmak. Sırmak, this must be in Kazakh. Yes, in Kazakh. What does it mean? It's untranslatable. It's just called that. Just the name of the carpet. There are already two backgrounds that are sewn together. And without a thread too? No, with threads. Oh, I see. The principal, one might say, is sort of a mosaic. We also have wall carpets. They are called tuskiyas. It's just wonderful, very beautiful. This is tuskiyas, already 60, 70 years old. Our mothers sewed it. We paid tribute to its value, and we kept it until today. Thanks to the fact that our mothers created these things for us, we, as their legitimate descendants, are developing their skills today. Thanks to this, Kazakh crafts are developing. This is, as they say, continuity, bridge of generations. The Asian nomads, despite their harsh life, were also not devoid of love for jewelry. The nomads' jewelry was not simple. They differed according to type and purpose and sometimes had extraordinary properties. Probably there is not a single family in Kazakhstan where jewelry that once belonged to a grandmother and great-grandmother hasn't been kept. And all these things were made by the hands of artisans.
Handmade, yes, they will look beautiful on the girl. I saw some not far from here. At the Arbot, there are many of them, miscellaneous souvenirs. They are very beautiful.
It's very good. This bangles for women in silver, they call it kumus. I took it for my mom, she loves it. When you wear it, I put with Thai in Africa, everybody look, oh, what is this? It's nice, it's beautiful. They love it.
All the items displayed in these cases are made of silver. It was believed that it has healing properties. Secondly, this material was much more affordable than gold. This is how it differs from Korean culture. We make all traditional jewelry of gold. And here I see that you usually have everything made of silver. Yes, it's very interesting. But silver was used mainly because people believed in its healing properties. Yes, I heard about it. Kazakh jewelers are called zirger. Zirger. These finger rings are called kostumsuk. These are right here. It means a bird's beak. It looks like a bird's beak. With these patterns, you can tell that Kazakhs have always been distinguished by the depth of their understanding of the world. and this worldview was expressed in patterns of decorative items. For example, women's jewelry. This is not a randomly applied ornament. It had a certain meaning. For example, by the ring worn by the girl, one could understand whether she's married or not. But you can ask about the exhibit. I often see this once. Such a blue color, what is it? What kind of stone is it? This is considered to be a charm. This is a blue enamel. Does your flag have the same color? Our flag is light blue, yes. I think they are similar. They're of the same color. Well, you mean, is there a connection between this and that? Yes, is there? Because I see this color very often in Kazakhstan. This shade of blue is everywhere. The choice of colors had a symbolic meaning for the Kazakhs, and it was always associated with the history of the land, with one or another virtue of the people. For example, white represented purity and calmness. Yellow was a symbol of reason, longing and sadness. Green was a symbol of youth. Black was the symbol of the earth. Blue was the color of the sky. Light blue was very popular, just like red. By the way, you can see the red color. While red represents life, fertility, energy, and love, blue and white represent purity, peace, and tranquility. This is the color of sky. I asked you because this color is very rare in Korea. Blue? Yes, exactly, the blue color. What color do you have? We usually have red or dark blue. Dark blue, interesting. On the contrary, dark blue stands for freedom, honesty, and peace. And you have such an interesting, pretty light blue color. Thank you. Jewelry of each region of Kazakhstan had its own characteristics, its own style. For example, the jewelry of Western Kazakhstan was massive and had geometric patterns. Is it for the fingers? To be honest, I didn't expect that it was for fingers. They're so huge. When the wedding took place, the bride's mother gave this ring to the groom's mother. It was like a symbol of the unification of two families, and a symbol of the fact that her daughter was moving to a new home and that her mother-in-law would take care of her like her own daughter. That's why it goes for two fingers. That one is called bilezik, a bracelet. Are they really bracelets? Yes, it's worn on the wrist. But these two rings are for the fingers. They're very beautiful. Well, I gotta show you omurjiyek. That is breast ornaments. Here they are. Breast jewelry for women. They were mostly worn after a couple got married and already had children. I can't imagine how it was possible to carry such burden every day. However, how can you not wear them since they're so beautiful? For the sake of beauty, you should be endurant. And these are not daily jewelry, not every day, but for ceremonies, for big events and holidays. But still, it's a mandatory set for every Kazakh woman. A breast ornament for a mother who recently gave birth to a child, it was a symbol of the protection of breast milk. According to other theories of art historians, it represented the connection of three worlds. That is, the upper world, the middle world, and the lower world. We have that too, huh? Well, very interesting. I noticed that many jewelry had a lot of pendants which were called okayak. These pendants were supposed to make a sound when walking. Just imagine, by the sound, adult women selected their daughters-in-law. If it was a beautiful and melodic sound, then the young girl's gait was smooth, which spoke of her good upbringing. An interesting tradition, isn't it? But there is another belief. This melodic sound at night, the sound of silhouette, was supposed to ward off evil spirits from a young girl, from a woman. This is how many interesting things I learned from the tour of the museum. I would like to spend my next day off at the theater. Bye-bye. See you soon.